Welcome to South Florida saltwater fishing. I'm Heath. It's Sunday. That means it's time to go fishing. Today on the game plan, I got some vertical jigging. But first, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna catch some live bait so I can go and do some, keep my options open after I hit up this vertical jigging. But that's what today's episode is really about. High-speed vertical jigging. Before we get into this episode though, do us a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Give this video a like. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. You know what time it is. Let's do this. So we're at the spot. It's right near the what a wreck called the Hydro Atlantic, which is a 300-foot long barge. It's in about right now I'm in about 230 feet of water. I'm a little deep. I'm actually going to go in probably about 10 or 15 feet shallower, sort of drift while I am vertical jigging. But what I want to do is I want to show you my setup before I get into this. It's an old school Penn 850 SS. I have an offshore angler 7-ounce green mackerel double hook jig. I have a 66-inch sea lion rod, not very expensive. You can get it at Bass Pro Shops. This one happens to be like 30 years old, but it's super stiff. You want a stiff rod when you're vertical jigging. So as we go further along, I'm going to go over the techniques of different sort of techniques you can do while you're vertical jigging. It doesn't necessarily always just have to be, you know, short, fast strokes. It can be long, powerful strokes and winding down. Now, the basis to vertical jigging as you're doing it is you want to drop your line down to the bottom. And it's the same thing as if you're reeling a fish up. Pull up and you wind on the way down. Pull up, wind on the way down. And so on and so forth until you fill the hook up. Now, when you get hooked up, vertical jigging is always super exciting because the fish hit hard and they run, and it's you better be in for the fight when you get it pulled up. All right, we're on the bottom. We're hooked up. That's as easy as that. First drop, hooked up. Now, typically you're going for bonitas, amberjacks, tuna. And he came off. Darn. That's high-speed jigging for you. All right, reset the drift. We're in about 221 feet. Remember, tap that bad boy all the way down. All right, we're on the bottom. Here we go. Oh, there we go. We're hooked up. At the leader, top shot as they call it, 30-foot yardage of 40-pound mono. Here comes my fish. Big old amberjack, look at that. Big old AJ. You get him in the boat, or shark gets him. That's an almaco, actually. That's a giant almaco. So, as you can see, the fish come rather large when you are vertical jigging. This is an almaco jack. He's a little on the big side, and I see parasites crawling all over him, so I'm going to let him go. But, I mean, this is all of 15, 20-pound fish. Like you see, when you're vertical jigging, they hit hard, and they will wear you out. That's how we do it here, South Florida saltwater fishing. Again, we're going to try this drop right on the same spot where I just caught the Almaco jack. Let's see if anybody's home again. So, vertical jigging, you're going to want to have braid. So what I have is my reel is spooled with 65-pound braid. I've got a 30-foot top shot of 40-pound mono, which is Momoy smoke blue. And then I've got another 40-pound clear, about 6 foot of clear trilene leader on it. And then I just tie that right onto my rig with a clinch knot. The braid is attached to my top shot with a spider hitch tied to a no-name knot, and then the same thing for the top shot attached to the leader. So you want braid because it keeps your line stiff, and you want a jerking motion as you're reeling up. Go up so far, don't be afraid to let it back down. Try it again. It's an up and down motion that you want. You're doing that. All right, folks, that about does it for me for vertical jigging. Caught one giant Almaco, had a huge bite, don't know what it was. Bonita, amberjack, sometimes groupers, sometimes kingfish, tunas. Who knows? It was most likely another big Almaco, if I'm guessing. But the sun's getting up, so I'm gonna go hit the reef, try and catch some dinner, and then we're gonna call it a day. So I'm here on the reef. Made a nice run up to Delray Beach. I gotta tell you, while I'm letting my chum line set up and sort of smolder for a little bit, try and get some critters around here, it's been a great day. You know, the conditions are perfect. It's a nice calm sea. I'm on my spot. There's nobody around me, which is great. You know, went out to do some vertical jigging, caught a monster Almaco jack, had something else hooked up. You know, vertical jigging will wear you out, so you know it's not something that you can do for hours on end and keep going until, you know, unless you do it all day every day, then hey. But I gotta say, that was super fun. So right now we're about ready to hit the reef. You know, we're gonna line out, you know, flat line out, use little weights, try to catch some reef fish, some yellowtails, groupers, maybe a kingfish or something. All right, I just want to show you briefly what I caught on the reef today. It was pretty much uneventful, but the Cero mackerel were swimming into the chum line along with the bonitas. Ended up catching them. Hey, it's some dinner. So let's take a look. That's a Cero mackerel. Got two of them. You can tell a Cero mackerel by this line right here. Identifiable yellow striped line. Both of them have it. And then there's a series of patterned dots, like fingerprints. See, this one has two lines right here. This one seems to only have one line, and then it starts down there. So the dotted patterns on Cero mackerel are definitely like fingerprints on a human. No two are the same. This one seems to have dots here on its head, right behind its eye. This one has more of a line. So yeah, that's Cero mackerel. That's dinner. These are some of my favorite mackerel to eat. I like these more than kingfish. So today we did vertical jigging. I hope you all thoroughly enjoyed what I had to show. Wasn't much happening. We did have a few large bites. We caught a monster Almaco jack, which is that's always stellar. Almaco jacks usually come about yay big. To get a 15-20 pounder like that was just phenomenal. The first bite that we had was out of this world. Too bad we didn't catch it. I know I went over while we were fishing what it is you need to do high-speed vertical jigging. But right now I'm going to go into it a little bit more in depth. Basically, you need a short rod. It's got to be stiff. You don't want lots of bend in it. When you yank up on your rod, you want it to make this jig flutter and have a violent action like a hurt fish. If your rod's got too much play in it, you're not going to get the action off your lure that you're looking for, and you're not going to get the hookup. You want to use braid. If you use mono for your entire reel, you're not going to get the hookup, because as you jig and pull up, mono stretches and it doesn't give your lure the action. If you use braid, it makes your jig get the proper action and makes it do like a almost swirling injured fish motion. The bigger your spool, the more money you're going to spend on braid, but you need to really pack that spool full of braid. Then on top of your braid, you need to use what's called a top shot. For my top shot, I use 40-pound smoke blue Momoy monofilament. On top of that, I use a leader, which is 40-pound trilene clear monofilament. I have that attached to a 7-ounce offshore anglers green mackerel double hook flutter jig. You can get this at Bass Pro Shops. My connections are made from braid to my top shot. I use a spider hitch attached to the mono with a no-name knot, and then I repeat the same process from my top shot to my leader. Spider hitch, then no-name knot. You can check up here, I'll drop a card. You can watch how to tie a spider hitch and a no-name knot to any application. It works for trolling, it works for bottom fishing. It's a very common knot. I recommend it highly over tying a bimini twist or uni knot to uni knot when you are tying different pound tests to different pound tests. I also will drop another card here. You can check it out on how to splice together 2 lines using a blood knot. You can also use that. It's just as effective and just as strong. Generally, when you're tying 2 different pound test knots together, you want to thread them together in both directions. You don't want to make loops. What I'm going to do is I'll show you this rig again. Very short, stubby rig, high action, and as you can see in the video, when a fish hits, it is violent, it is hard hitting, and that fish is going to run. You need to be prepared. High-speed vertical jigging is not for the faint of heart. If you're not going out there prepared for a fight, you're going to lose. These fish hit hard. These fish are big. These fish are fresh when they strike the jig, and they're gonna run. When you get the hookup, be prepared to hold on for dear life. They're gonna run, and when they get to the boat, they're still fresh and they're gonna sound, and the battle is on, really. So that's why high-speed vertical jigging is one of my favorite techniques of fishing, simply because of the strikes you get and how tough the fish fight. All right, folks, that about does it for this episode. We hope to see you Thursday for our tips and tricks. Until then, South Florida saltwater fishing. I'm Heath. We're done. I'm out. And you know what, man? My freaking GoPro vertical mounts, the little clips, man, I can't do anything to stop those things from breaking.